Fortunately, Huntington Beach is kind of a MAGA hotbed at the moment, and it's spread to other cities around, which is why I am running for this office, because my likely opponent is going to be Gracie Vandermark, who is one of our Huntington Beach City Council members, who's been behind all the attacks on our public library. And she is a very proud MAGA enthusiast. And I don't want more MAGA enthusiasts in our government.
But she's no longer the biggest, she's no longer the most extreme.
Yeah, no, she really, yeah. So somehow, someone more to the right of Gracie has entered the race, who's Nick Torres, who is just a straight-out white nationalist. And he will proudly tell you that he is a white nationalist. And he is running because he doesn't think Gracie is extreme enough. So that's going to be a very interesting primary. I can tell you that.
And then there's Matt Harper.
Yeah, and then there's Matt Harper, who I believe served in the assembly before, but I think that was like
Anaheim Beach Council. He's kind of a boring old-fashioned Republican.
Yeah. So really, what I want to do is I want to make government boring again. Like I'm so tired of exciting government. Like if your government's exciting, that's a sign that something's gone terribly, terribly wrong. And I know for a fact that Gracie does not care about governing for people in the city, because I live in Huntington Beach, and I've seen what her and the other council members have done with our city, and they've taken us from a $15 million budget surplus to an $8 million debt. They have consistently refused to listen to the public, which is why we actually had to pass 2 ballot initiatives to protect our public library. We passed both of those, by the way, back in July, 60-40 and then 59-41. So you tell the residents of Huntington Beach are kind of getting fed up with what's going on. And yeah, I don't think the MAGA political idea is a good American political idea. And I think we're seeing that, both socially, economically, what it's doing to our friends and our neighbors, how it's treating American citizens. I mean, here in Anaheim, obviously, you guys are having to deal with ICE raids just the same as we're having to deal with them in Huntington Beach, and it's un-American. That's not what this country is supposed to be about. And I want this country to be better. I want this country to be a place where me, as a straight white man who is born to upper middle class parents, who has the world on easy mode, right? I want everyone to have those same opportunities. But we can't have those opportunities unless someone fights for them. And so that's why, if I'm in a position of power, I'm going to fight for people who don't have the same amount of privilege. Because I would want them to do that for me if the positions were reversed. And that's why I think it's so important to stand up and say something and do something. And that's also why we need fighters. And so I'm always going to fight. Like, I'm always going to be honest and tell the truth, because that's just who I am. I really do not care. I've made enough money in the NFL. I was happily retired. I just saw my city going to shit, and I was just like, nope, don't want this to happen. And now, I'm seeing my country go to shit, and I'm just like, nope, don't want that to happen. So I'm going to do something about it. And hopefully more people do that, right? Because I think, the Republicans are really bad. Like, they're directly responsible for everything that's going on. But let's not forget the fact that Democrats have not done their jobs, right? Like, if what we did worked, we wouldn't be in this position. So we don't just need to kick the Republicans out of power, we need to change the Democratic establishment, because it currently is not working. And I really hope that the Democratic establishment understands that, because I don't think the old guard does. And so that's one of the other reasons why I'm running, because I can't think of a better message to send both to Republicans as well as Democrats on things need to change than if someone like me gets elected in District 72, which is, a very Republican-leaning district. It's a Republican-leaning district. It's a purple district. But I think I can win there. And I think it's due to both the national sphere that's going on, everything that's going on nationally with the Trump administration, as well as just locally. Like, we're seeing what happens with local MAGA politics. So, now that being said, we did need to pass Prop 50. I'm glad we passed Prop 50, because it is we need to start fighting fire with fire. Like, for too long we've just been like, oh, we'll take the high road and things will be good. And I've always believed, if someone goes low, I'm going to go even lower and hit them so hard that they never try to do it again.
You're a cool guy.
Oh, yeah, holder.
His saying was, when they go low, kick them.
Yeah, exactly. They're on the ground. Give them a couple thumps.
You're good at that. You're good at that.
Oh yeah. No, I spent my whole life training for it. So, but yeah, no, I think it is really important that we elect fighters, and then that we hold them accountable to actually fight. Because you're going to hear a lot of people talk about oh yeah, I'm going to fight the establishment. We need to make sure we hold them accountable, and I'm including myself in that, right? I am going to fight. I can promise you that. And if I'm not, I expect people to hold me accountable, because that's not who I want to see in the mirror when I go to sleep. Right. Yes.
So it's AD 72, correct?
Correct. AD 72.
And cities other than Huntington Beach?
Yeah. So Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Laguna Hills, Laguna Woods, Aliso Viejo, and Lake Forest. So it's kind of like the coastal strip, and then up around Crystal Cove State Park. So it's and that is why that district leans Republican, right? Because you got Huntington and Newport in there, and they have the bulk of the population, and that's a lot of older rich white people. But the thing is that there's also a lot of other people that live there. We just need to get them to show up and vote, and I think they're starting to understand they need to show up and vote. So.
Newport's actually more Republican than Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Literally, if you look at the colors.
Oh yeah, no. It's I anticipate that's going to be a spicy meetings when I'm talking in Newport Beach. But you know what?
They're more old-fashioned kind of Republican.
Right, exactly.
Newport, not like.
Yeah, they're not the MAGA ones. And I think that's also important is that, like, there is a difference between small C conservatives who are just like, yeah, I don't really agree with them. Like I want us to be building more houses. I want us to be paying more taxes for social services because that helps everyone, including yourself. Like, we'll probably never agree on that, but I think they will agree that at the end of the day, we're still Americans, right? Like, we're still part of the same country. We're on the same team. I don't think MAGA believes that. I think MAGA believes that they are the true Americans and everyone else is just, we need to get rid of them. And I'm not okay with that. All right.
Yeah, but it seems like the OCGOP is pretty much behind Gracie.
Oh, yeah, no, they've already endorsed her. So they.
I thought maybe they'd pick Harper, but.
Yeah,
they're going with Gracie.
They've made their bed, now they're going to lay in it, so we'll see what happens. All right. Vern, you had questions?
Matter if we get more Democrats in the Assembly and the Senate because we already have a supermajority there. But what we do need is progressive Democrats.
Right.
The things that we haven't been able to get that you think we could get from it. I was hoping you would be one of the progressive votes we got on, for example, we need stronger rent control. The rent control we have, number one, it allows landlords to raise the rents by cost of living plus 5%.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense that there's a 5% there. It means that they're increasing their profits every year by 5%.
Right.
Fair or necessary. So I'd like it to just be cost of living.
Yeah, so one of my big things is affordability. Like, and that means both building more houses, it means addressing the cost of groceries, it means addressing the cost of our electric bills. Like right now, California is not a very affordable place to live. And we can be. Like, we can build more houses. Like, if we
specifically, would you support a strong rent control bill like that?
Oh yeah, no, I would absolutely support a strong rent control.
And overturning Costa Hawkins. It exempts a lot of properties from rent control.
Yes, right, yeah. So yes, I believe that we should have rent control. Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is, I think we need law enforcement and justice, but the people enforcing that need to be just. And if your law enforcement is not just, then you don't really have law enforcement. You have an armed gang who is wearing badges that the city sponsors. And so we need to be able to hold people accountable. And I have been held accountable my entire career. If I screwed up, people let me know, and I could potentially lose my job. And I think it's only fair that if someone has the ability to pass a life or death sentence on another human being, that we hold them accountable when they screw up. And then the other thing we need to address is the ongoing militarization of our police. Because it is, I mean, we've all seen pictures. We have police officers in literal surplus military gear. And I know why that's the case. It's because the DOD had the whole program where they just started sending it off to police departments. The police department's like, great, yeah, no, we'll take these leftover Afghan vehicles. Like, why not? Why wouldn't we need a miniature tank to patrol our city streets? And honestly, I think that's one of those things where cities could find a lot of savings in their budgets. Because what's the upkeep on all this gear, right? Like, someone's got to take care of that. Someone's got to service these vehicles. And that's coming out of city funds. Like, that's your tax money paying for this. And really, has there been any situation in the past, 15 years where we have needed that kind of gear on American soil? Because I can't think of it. So I definitely think we want law enforcement that is fair, that is just, that treats everyone equally. But in order to have that, we do have to be able to hold people accountable. Yeah.
I have only a semi-frivolous question this time. Who are some of your political heroes, both in electoral politics and in non-electoral politics?
So probably my two favorites would be Teddy Roosevelt and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. because they both went after the rich people. It was, they were very clear, and I think we're facing a similar situation right now, where Teddy Roosevelt went after the trust. There was a giant wealth inequality gap. He's like, we have to fix this because it's bad for our country, it's bad for our people. Broke up the trust. We started getting more prosperous. Then the Republicans took over and led us into the Great Depression. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, well, how are we going to fix this? Well, there's this giant wealth inequality gap. We need to close that. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the New Deal. He decided, you know what? These other millionaires, they're going to hate me for doing this, but it needs to be done. And that's what we have been missing for the last 45 years since Reagan. And even probably just a little bit before that with Carter as well, is that the vast bulk of our problems can be traced back to the fact that the 1% and the 0.01% control 90% of our resources. They control so much, and they are not using it to help other people. And I'm not saying people can't earn more than others. I'm not saying you can't be successful. But after a certain point, it is no longer being successful. It is hoarding, and it is a mental. Trying to crush our democracy. They're trying to crush our freedoms, and we have to be willing to fight back against that. So yeah, so those would be my my elected ones. I think, let's see, non-elected. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm a history major, so I should know something. I mean, basically, take your pick of freedom fighters throughout the ages. Like it's anyone who's willing to stand up against authority, knowing the cost that might bear with it. That to me is someone worth emulating. Because again, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all should be treating each other the way we want to be treated. We all should be standing up for those who don't have as much, because we would want them to do the same for us. So that's one of my guiding principles, and I will always stay true to that. Because again, I want to protect myself. I want other people to stand up for me when I'm in trouble. And I've been fortunate that I've never been in trouble, but that could change. There might come a day when someone's like, we need to get rid of the Chris Kluwes of the world. I'm like, well, I hope other people speak up for me. And so now, right now, I'm in a position to speak up for other people, so I got to do it. So yeah, that's what I expect from other people, because I expect it from myself.
Well, the third thing would be the old chestnut, single-payer healthcare.
Yes, absolutely.
Except every time, I mean, there's always not enough progressives to vote for it, but also the bills are kind of half-assed when you look at them. They're not really thought through.
Right.
They don't have a funding structure that you can say, okay, it's going to work.
Yep. Well, because the problem is again, that half of the Democratic Party that is owned by corporate interests, those healthcare insurers, they don't want to lose their profits. Those executives, they don't want to lose their tiny yachts that go in their bigger yachts. And so the way we solve it is we say, well, guess what? You had your run, now it's over. We are moving to a single-payer system. We're going to make sure that everyone has health care. And the reason why is not just because it's ethically correct, it is also the economic solution. It's far cheaper to provide health care to everyone and to give people the opportunity to go get healed before they become really, really sick. Like when I played in the NFL, my trainers would always say, if you feel even the slightest twinge, if you think even the smallest thing is wrong, come in immediately so you can get treatment, so that way we can get you back out on the field, right? How many workers feel like they have to push through any sort of nagging injury or cold or something simply because they cannot afford to be away from their job, or they can't afford the health care required? And then later on down the line, it turns into a much bigger problem. And now all of a sudden, instead of being a $200 solution, now it's a $200,000 solution. Does that save us money? No, that does not save us money. So we're not just protecting people because it's the right thing to do. We are investing in them because it's good for us as a society and an economy. So yeah, that would be my argument to all the corporate folks, where it's just like, nope, you have too much. We need to make sure everyone else is being lifted up too.
Yeah, California probably has one of the highest minimum wages in the United States. And yet,
right, it's unaffordable.
It's not workable. I certainly would like to see a minimum wage where you don't have to go back to the trough
right
all the time, where it's tied to inflation numbers. So
Yeah, well, so what I would actually really like to see, and I know this is going to be a tough political climb, I would like to see us have a maximum wage tied to the minimum wage. So that way, if you're like a CEO of a corporation, you can only earn 10 times as much as your lowest worker.
Yeah.
And then there would have to be very strong language to keep them from, doing like, oh, you're a contractor, you're a special consultant, like you're not considered an employee. Like, because again,
Right.
then that way it makes it so, okay, if you want to make more, you can, you just have to bring everyone else up with you. And I agree with you that the current minimum wage is not sustainable. I was actually reading a thing, I think the United Way did a study where the minimum wage, it's around, I think it was like 40 or 42,000 per year, something like that. And then the actual money you need to survive in California is closer to like $100,000 or $105,000 a year. And again, that is a massive gap that we have to fill in. We have the money to do it, as so many politicians love to keep saying, we're the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world. Where's all that money at? Because it certainly doesn't seem like it's in the hands of everyday people. So yeah.
So, part of the reason our rent is so incredibly high is because of the use of rigged AI rent pricing models.
Yeah, I read about that, yeah.
Yeah. What can we do about that? Do you have ideas about what we can do about that? I know actually there are a number of lawsuits in federal court which do things about that.
Yes.
Would you support legislation to limit the use of those?
Yes, absolutely. So that's actually one of my 3 main campaign platforms on my website is the regulation of AI. Because right now AI is a cancer on our society. And the thing is that there are valid use cases for AI in fields like medical research and rapid prototyping and weather prediction. They're seeing like really with the predictive models, like it really is useful in those fields. What it's not useful in is when it's convincing teenagers to commit suicide. Like, that's not okay. Like, when it's pricing people out of their homes, that's not okay. And so we need to regulate AI. And the other reason why we need to regulate it is because AI is a huge bubble right now. Like, it's a $1 trillion bubble that's going to burst. And so we have to be prepared for that. And we also have to make sure that we're holding people accountable. The ones who led us into this, we cannot bail them out. We cannot have a repeat of 2008, 2009.
Bitcoin.
Cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is a great way to bribe people. Like, that's the only use case for cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And it's terrible for the $1 Like, that's the other thing. Yeah, it's a way. So that I think I saw Trump has increased his wealth by, was it $1.5 billion from cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're bribing the president. How is that okay? Like, we specifically have language in our Constitution for the emoluments clause. Like, you're not allowed to bribe the president.
But he's a criminal. He doesn't care about the Constitution.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, that's clear. Like, the thing is, the rest of us have to care, and we have to be willing to hold them accountable. And so, yeah, what I would like to see once we regain power, like, if we don't want to see this happen again, we have to have some sort of reconciliation process, similar to, like, the end of apartheid in South Africa, the Nuremberg trials after World War II. We have to talk about how this happened, who was responsible, and how we can keep it from happening again. Because otherwise, it's just going to happen again.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
About half the California budget is spent on education, about 40% on K through 12 and 10% on universities. Any thoughts on where you want to see that go?
I would like to see it go up. I mean, and the thing is, I would like to see a lot of that money that's currently going to charter schools get stripped from charter schools. Because there's absolutely no place for religion in public education. I mean, it doesn't matter what your religion is, because someone out there is going to disagree with it. So the only fair way to do it is, you can have your religion, but that's your religion off to the side. Public schools are a public space. They are welcoming to everyone, regardless of religion, regardless of sex, regardless of race, regardless of sexual identity. You are welcome in public education. And public schools are the backbone of a strong democracy. So we need to invest more in our public education, and we need to stop the privatization of it. Because, again, it's no secret that Republicans want private schools, so that way the rich people can send their kids to places that have a lot of resources, and everyone else is stuck with, broken down classrooms and teachers that aren't paid enough and who have to try to watch too many students. So,
And the money sucked from them to support the private.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is a little bit tougher, but but open-ended. What are your criticisms of the workings of the state assembly? And state senate, if you want to talk about that, but you're not running for that.
Yeah, I'm not, again, this is my first time doing it, so I'm not super familiar with everything that goes on in there, but from what I have seen, it seems like the California State Assembly isn't that interested in solving a lot of very pressing problems, right? Like, so for example, the issue of affordability. Like, this is something it shouldn't have taken this long to address. Like, we have known this has been coming. Like, the housing element, right? Like, that's been a thing for a long time. Like, we have known we need to build houses for people. We have known that people are getting priced out of their areas. But no one wants to deal with it because, unfortunately, for the rich people, the only answer is you got to tax them more. Like you got to close that wealth inequality gap, and we have to make it so everyone can thrive and survive. Because that's how society works. It's better off for all of us if everyone has the chance to succeed. And so yeah, I think I would like to see less worry about keeping your job and more worry about fixing problems while you have the job. And so for me personally, I don't need this job. I was very happily retired. I would like to go back to being very happily retired. But in order to do that, I got to fix a whole bunch of problems. And I'm not stupid. I know it's not going to be something you solve in one term. But I'm not doing this because I have like grand political aspirations. I just want people to stop sucking. I want the country to work. And I'm also a huge nerd. Like I love video games. I love tabletop games. I've actually designed a tabletop game, so I know how to build rules, and I know how to find edge cases and corner cases where it's like, okay, what is the behavior we want to incentivize? What is the actual behavior that is being incentivized? And I don't think there are very many people writing our rules right now who are considering that. They're like, oh yeah, no, we'll just do this, it'll be fine. And then you get some corner case or edge case where it's just like, oh, there's a great loophole for a corporate tax break. And it's like, well, did you think of that? Because you should have. Like, that's your job. Your job is to write these rules so that they're fair for everyone. So,
as a follow-up, are there people in the assembly, probably Democrats, but not necessarily only, who you've already talked to and think you can work productively with?
Yeah, so the people I've talked to, I feel like I've had good relationships with. So I have endorsements from 5 assembly members already, and have had solid conversations with them. And really, for me, the big thing is going to be how much do I get elected by, right? Because in order to send a message to Sacramento, like if I only get elected by 1 or 2 points, it's just like, oh, he squeaked out a win in '72, right? Like, we didn't think it was going to happen, but he managed to do it. But this is his first year in. Like, we don't really have to listen to him. If I get elected by like 7 or 8 points or double digits, then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, we better listen because this is not like Long Beach, right? Like this isn't San Francisco. Like this is Newport Beach and Huntington Beach, and these people want change. And so that to me is where I could be really effective. Is if enough people show up that want change and show that with their votes, then that gives me leverage when I'm talking with other people, where it's not just, oh, I want to do these things because I want to do them. It's, I want to do these things because other people want them to get done. And I think that resonates a lot more. Yeah?
Split property tax rule, what do you think?
I'm not super familiar on split property tax rule. Can you explain for me real quick?
Taxing for real property for corporate owned versus residential.
Gotcha.
Goes back to Prop 13.
Prop 13, yeah, the third rail that everyone says never touch Prop 13. I like touching third rails. So I think, so this is something where we as Californians, we need to have a really honest conversation about Prop 13. Because we need to recognize that the goals of Prop 13 are laudable, and that we should not be pricing people out of their homes simply because it was a family home that got passed down, or they're trying to move to a different home. However, Prop 13 is being taken advantage of by a lot of, I'm not going to say bad actors, but by people who can afford to pay those taxes, right? Like corporations, wealthy individuals, who all of a sudden, like instead of selling the house and moving somewhere else, they keep the house, rent it out, and now cities are losing their tax bases. They're not able to provide services because we're unable to collect those taxes because they're locked in from 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. So I think we need to be looking at Prop 13 with the idea of, okay, how do we keep what it was meant to do, which is to help low and fixed income families stay in their homes if property values rise, while at the same time, how do we address the problem areas, which is corporations and wealthy individuals taking advantage of these tax breaks and not paying their fair share. So yeah, that is something that I do think we need to have a conversation about, and it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
So.
Still what corporations buy.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like a home should be owned by a human being.
Can't be under your LLC.
Yeah, like I think it's pretty simple. Like you have a person, you have a home.
They have to live in it.
Yeah, you gotta live there. I would also actually be in favor of if you own more than one home, you start getting hit with progressively higher and higher taxes, right? So American dream, right? Like you have your home and then you have your little vacation home. Okay, but that's fine. Like people should be able to chase the American dream. I'm not okay with people who are like Mark Zuckerberg, who's like, I'm going to buy 6 houses to create a compound. And it's like, that's not okay. Those are places people could be living. And for what? You only take up so much space. You can't physically occupy all those spaces in that house. Like, it's just, again, we have the ultra wealthy who think they're above everyone else, and it's a mental disorder. It's hoarding. We need to be able to help these people deal with the problems that they obviously have, because it'll never be enough. You know, if $1 billion isn't enough, $2 billion isn't going to be enough either. You're just going to keep going, and you're never going to stop. Right. Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay, this one's going to be tougher. Are you familiar with AB 715?
I can't say that I am.
It's the one that was recently passed and signed by the governor, saying that teachers cannot mention Zionism in the classroom,
Okay.
Especially in a pejorative way.
Okay. Yeah.
And that, as I recall, sets out various penalties for that, against particularly making. I don't know that they. I think they talked about anti-Semitism,
Right.
but the idea was making Jewish students feel culpable.
Right.
At all for what's going on.
Yeah, no, that you're right. That is another tough one, and I have spoken publicly on this.
Oh.
that was actually one of my statements at the Democratic State Convention, is that as a party we have to be willing to say things not because they're popular, but because they are the right thing to say. And the right thing to say is that what is happening in Gaza is a genocide. And I know that pisses off a lot of Jewish people, but unfortunately it is the truth. And saying that doesn't make you anti-Semitic. We can hold Israel to account for its crimes, particularly Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the one behind all this because he doesn't want to go to jail, without saying Jewish people are evil. Jewish people are not evil. No people are evil. It's individuals making decisions, and then that determines who you are as a person. So I think what that bill does is it's not really going to protect Jewish people, because again, historically, when non-Jews start making laws about how Judaism is defined, it really doesn't end well. Like that's a really bad road to travel down. So I think we do need to protect Jewish people from anti-Semitism, legit anti-Semitism, because there is that in this country, and it particularly comes from the right wing. And a lot of it is driven by evangelical Christians who want to bring about the end of days. They want Israel to bring about the end of days, so then the rapture happens, and then all the good Christians go to heaven. And it really sucks. Like Mike Johnson is the perfect example of that. Like that's exactly what he believes. So I think we do need strong anti-Semitism measures, but it needs to be in collaboration with all parts of the Jewish community, not just Orthodox ones that are vested in the idea of, okay, Israel is right no matter what. Because, again, Israel deserves to exist, Palestine deserves to exist, everyone deserves to exist. But when you are killing children, when you are committing war crimes, you have to be held accountable for that. And that, on that line, the United States needs to be accountable for that. We are murdering people in the Pacific Ocean. We are bombing fishermen. And it is flat out murder. We are not at war with Venezuela. We haven't been at war with Venezuela. It's not even a war crime. It's just flat out murder. You can't just drop a missile on someone's boat because you think they have drugs in it. Like it goes against everything that America is supposed to be. So yeah, so that's part of holding people accountable as well. But yeah, I would be interested in addressing that. So.
Did you want to say anything particularly about the Muslim and particularly Arab Palestinian communities? Do they need protection?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
What's going on?
Yeah, no. The Palestinian community definitely needs protection, and I mean, and the thing is like, as I said, no people deserves to be attacked simply for who they are, and that could be regional, based on where you live. That could be what you believe. That could be what you identify as. everyone is a human being and everyone deserves the right to live. And we have to protect other people because at the end of the day, we are protecting ourselves. So yes, we all saw what happened after 9/11. The Muslim community was viciously attacked by the American government. And it still goes on to this day. Like, there's still racial profiling that goes on to this day. And it needs to stop. We need to be a nation of laws and justice, not one of knee-jerk reactions and hate. Right, yeah, so it's a good question. So my strategy is for the small C conservatives, from an economic standpoint, MAGA doesn't work for me. Like, I know you are mostly concerned about business and like you want to make sure that you can survive and prosper, but like MAGA politics just doesn't work. It's economically unfriendly. We're seeing that with the tariffs. We're seeing it with everything that Trump does is driving up costs everywhere. And again, like if you're worried about your bank account, you cannot vote for someone who believes in MAGA politics. Like, it just does not work. And then the other thing is, we're supposed to be on the same team. We're supposed to be on America. Like, I played with guys where they would get in fistfights, like literal fistfights in practice during the week. But when Sunday came and the lights came on, we're all on the same team. We're all trying to win. We can have disagreements with each other. It is okay for us to do that. It's okay for us to not even like each other. We just have to accept that we are all Americans and we are all in this together and we're all trying to survive and thrive together. So that would be how I'm going to try to reach them. In terms of like the no party preference independent and like sort of checked out Democrats, you got to give people a reason to vote. You can't just say, oh yeah, show up and vote because I'm the better of two bad options, right? No, you have to give people a reason to believe, which is why I talk about things that normally you don't. Like, consultants be like, no, don't talk about that, right? Because they're like, oh, you might offend someone. It's okay to offend some people. Again, like I said, we're never going to agree on everything, and that's within our own party too. Like, but we need to have those conversations. We need to be able to talk about those things, and people need to understand that you believe in something, that you have a line in the sand. Like this I will not pass. Like, because for me personally, I feel there are too many politicians where it's like, where's your line in the sand? What do you actually believe in? Like, when push comes to shove and you're up against the wall, what are you going to fight for? And I don't see that from a lot of people. Like, I see it from the younger generation. I don't really see it from the older generation. And that also gets to the bigger problem of we have too many old people in the Democratic Party. Sorry to all the old people present. but it's the truth. Like, if your way worked, we wouldn't be here. Like, you got to step aside. You got to let the younger generation take over. And like, again, I don't want to do this job forever. Like, I want to fix some problems, and I want someone who's better than me to come along and do a better job. Like, that's the whole point. And I played in a sport where that happens, where eventually you age out. You just physically can't do it anymore. But the thing is, you can teach the next generation. You can teach them to be better than you were. And I think that we've kind of lost sight of that. Like, that's not really an aspect of our politics anymore. And I think it should be. Like, we should be training up a new generation to take over. So. Hopefully that answered it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that the Democratic Party is usually thought of as an aggregation of interest groups, and I think it would be a problem if you weren't asked anything about women's rights, LGBT, African American community, Asian community, Latino community. You can go on from there if you want to.
Yeah,
so this is the question that shows that people here care about those issues,
right.
and you can. Well, you're not going to run with it, but you can kick that one around.
So, as the straight white man, let me opine. But no, I think it is something where we do need to be able to recognize when we have privilege, right? So, for example, I have a lot of privilege. I'm a straight white guy. I have a lot of money. Like, I can afford to do things that other people cannot do. So, for example, like when I got arrested from Huntington Beach City Council, that turned out way differently than if I had been a black trans woman. Like, that scenario would have gone way differently, and I fully recognize that that's the case. That shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't accept that as an okay society to live in. We should be able to look at people and not judge them, but we need to recognize when that is happening and take steps to try and fix that. And what that means is those of us with privilege have to use that privilege to help others. We can't expect the oppressed to fight every single battle. We need to be the ones on the front line. So that's kind of my stance on that. And I like to think I back that up. Like, I calculated. I think I cost myself anywhere from like $6 to $8 million by speaking out on LGBTQ rights. Because I probably would have played for another like 5 or 6 years and got another long-term contract. And the thing is, though, is that I knew I had enough. Like I knew if I lost my job, I would still have enough money to take care of my family and to do the things that we wanted to do. And yeah, it would have been nice to have some more money. But what would have been worse was allowing bigotry to be enshrined in a state's constitution. And so that's why I fight, because as I've said before, I want other people to fight for me. So yeah, I wouldn't expect it from someone else if I wasn't willing to do it myself. So. All right, cool. Well, yeah, if there's more, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.